Ah! Oh! Oh! What? I'm an internet personality. We don't give birth to children, we give birth to kitties. For the internet. The Tsuranga Conundrum, another one from Chris Chibnall. I've sung praises to Chibnall, an unusual amount of praises to Chibnall. And this is going to be the one where I'm going to have to say, yeah, you kind of got hoisted by your own petard on this one, my friend. And I think a lot of the general complaints, there's some I could definitely agree with. The big one, and I gotta say, I'm really digging where I stand, where I'm only able to watch the episodes the day after they air, and hearing a lot of the feedback from other reviewers. Yes, I could definitely agree. The pacing is a very uneven in this episode. And I think as a good example of what I mean is there's a really great scene with Ryan and Yaz where Ryan finally confesses about what happened to his mother and in turn why he feels the way he feels about his dad. And it's a great scene, and I thought it was a great development scene for Ryan, but it shows up really late in the episode when we got a threat going on here. You know, we got a ship that's in jeopardy because of a what do you call a alien that eats dominantly inorganic metalvore? I don't know. So, but either way, we got all this craziness happening right now, and this scene kind of kills the pacing. And I was watching this moment going, this could have been placed really early on, and it should have been, because prior to the revelation of a threat, we had a whole bunch of scenes strictly with Astos and the Doctor, and even with some of the other passengers. It was like this could have been placed elsewhere. Like immediately after they meet Yas with his pregnancy, immediately could have gone into the scene where Ryan talks with Yaz about his mom and his dad. I was like, there you could have had it. And while we're talking about the companions this time, I will definitely say, again, Yaz does get the short end of the stick here. I mean, fortunately, we did get a whole dump of Yaz in Arachnids in the UK when we met her family, and we kind of get a good idea of where she comes from as far as her mentality and why she wants to continue traveling with the Doctor. So it's not like we don't have any development whatsoever with Yaz, but I feel like, again, she kind of takes the back seat on this one. Meanwhile, we do have great stuff with Ryan and Graham. Again, Graham is the one I'm just enjoying the most of. And we do get some great stuff with him and Ryan as they pertain to Yas, as they're helping him deliver a baby. And that was a nice little bit of fun, too. And I gotta say, the thing that definitely works on that level, I was really digging seeing this ship and seeing all the characters and really seeing a lot of the customs in different parts of the universe. These are little ideas which really helped hit home that we are definitely in a different time and also in a different stretch of the universe. So I gotta say credit to Chibnall for his imagination of just seeing little quirks in the midst of things that usually look ordinary, but then you find out that, oh no, they're way, way out of the ordinary compared to what we're used to. So that was a lot of fun. And in turn, we got to see a lot of great stuff with Graham and Ryan as they react to it. And I think all the more because we got to see such good stuff with them, it was sad to see Yaz not really getting much to go on either. Though she does get a lot of play with the cyborg character, and she does actually play a great role when it comes to helping pacify the main threat of the episode. Now, a lot has been said about the Pating already, and I looked at that creature and if it weren't dangerous, I'd say this was Doctor Who's answer to the Porg. I'm not opposed to this. I am very pro-Porg, so that's fine. I'm good with that. But with that being said, I can see why a lot of people felt like a little downplayed by this. Now, on a technical level, the CGI was actually really good. The integration of the real with the CGI was excellent. So definitely on a technical level, it's a very well realized creation. I like the idea that not every alien threat is actually like a threat in the conventional sense. This thing isn't here to, because it expressly wants to kill. It's just doing what it naturally does. It's just unfortunate that what it's doing is clashing with this situation where people are trying to stay alive. And I thought that was really clever. And I was digging that. And so I think it all lends to the idea that this creature seemingly is very benign at first glance, but then of course turns out to be this omnivorous thing. So I didn't approach this thing with the intention of being frightened, and I'm seeing a lot of people being all like, "Oh, it wasn't scary." It's like, not every Doctor Who monster has to be scary. I'm sorry, I love the adipose, and I like the adipose for the fact that it didn't have to be scary. I mean, after all, this is the universe of Doctor Who. We don't always have to be intimidated by everything. We can also be, charmed and even kind of surprised. And it is surprising to see this seemingly, ostensibly adorable looking creature being such a legitimate threat. And the idea that this thing is just running around eating up every energy source on the ship, which could potentially put them all at risk, that's actually a novel concept. And I think the only shortcoming really is that you weren't really seeing too many of the consequences of its tampering. I mean, every time some power went down somewhere, they're like saying, "Oh, we got generator backup." So I'm like, guys, how about we actually, try and see how you guys cope when you don't have power? Like the whole thing of Yas giving birth to his child, it actually would have been kind of cool to see them actually try to deliver this baby without technology. And actually would have been even more interesting with Ryan and Graham helping, that saying, listen, we are from a more primitive time, so we have some kind of insight on how to do this naturally. Of course, it was hilarious, Graham saying, "I watch Call the Midwife," so that was funny. That was very funny. Dominantly lopsided, focused entirely on the Doctor, which I'm definitely never opposed to, particularly because every episode, again, we are seeing new sides to Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. And I will say there was a lot of great doctory moments with her in this episode. But again, placement, it was just weird. There's a whole bit where the Doctor's admiring the antimatter drive. And maybe, again, if this happened in the beginning of the episode, we would have been on board with it. It would have been a wonderful moment. It would have been cool. I would have totally dug it. But where they put it, you just have me going, there's still that thing that's running around eating everything. It was a weird place to put it. And you feel bad because you do have a good cross-section of side characters in this one. And I'm sorry, I've always been bad with names, and especially when it comes to alien names, it's weird. I mean, you got Astos, who's only in the first 15 minutes, does a really great job establishing himself as the authority on this ship, particularly in the beginning when you have the Doctor selfishly trying to get back to the TARDIS in her stupor of in her daze and in pain, which is another thing that never really comes to pay off in any shape, way, or form. So again, Chibnall, follow through on your plots, man. But it was cool seeing him talk her down, saying, listen, what you're doing right now is going to put us at risk. We will help you as much as we can. So it was really cool. It was impressive that we were able to establish him as the authority figure on the ship, to see that he was a really good man. And I was sad that he died very early on in the story, but I like that because he died so early on, we get to see his novice and seeing her having to step up and have to take charge on the ship. And it doesn't feel like, boom, oh, she's an authority. I like that there was a gradual progression. There was also the great side plot with the brother with his sister who is a, war veteran. And the best part is when you see the Doctor being really geeking out over her. I like that the Doctor's hype is not in vain, that she actually does justify the hype, even to the point where she sacrificed herself, and that's beautiful. There's so many good moments, which, with better story editing, I think this episode could have been a classic. But because it felt very hastily put together, I feel like there's some wasted opportunities here. So this episode is not a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I will happily watch this over and over again because there's a lot of fun to be had in it. And I'm sure when the season is complete, it's going to feel like another vital block of everything around it. We still get some decent character moments with our main cast. We do get a good side cast. But by and large, compared to the 4 wonderful episodes we got beforehand, I would even say I may say I like it better than the Ghost Monument, but even then the Ghost Monument still had so much more going for it that puts it above on the list. Not saying I hated this episode, far from it. I enjoyed this episode immensely. I'll happily watch it over and over and over again, and that's fine. But I feel like this is the one time where a lot of Chibnall's shortcomings, all the stuff that I've been consistently worried about with him as the showrunner, I feel like this is one of those episodes where the chinks in his armor shows. So, not a winner, but definitely not a loser. It's definitely not as bad as Daleks and Manhattan, It's definitely not as bad as, it's still not as bad as Delta and the Bannermen or Time Lash, which is an anagram for lame shit. It's still not a bad one. Leaving it there. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope if you want to see me keep doing more reviews, just comment below. And for more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, like, share, subscribe, click, thou shalt be served. Stay tuned. Double November is still underway.